I knew I was disappearing the night Jonas looked right through me, like my voice had turned into steam rising off the kitchen tiles. The storm outside was shaking the windows, but the real storm was Elena's laugh echoing in his chest long after she'd left. I stood there pretending I wasn't counting the seconds he didn't look my way, pretending I didn't notice how my own reflection felt thinner by the hour. Freedom was what I begged for, but the truth is, I asked for it because I was scared he'd leave first. And now, in this half-lit room, I can't tell if he's drifting away or if I'm the one fading out of frame. A glass slips from my hand, shattering. Jonas finally turns. Too slow, too calm. And in that moment, I see it. He isn't surprised. He's relieved. My throat tightens. What truth is he hiding behind that softness? And why does his silence feel like the real confession? Before I speak, a knock hits the door. Elena's voice. My heart stops. Elena's voice filters through the door, soft but certain, the kind of tone that makes people open up or fall apart. Jonas moves first, and I watch the way his shoulders loosen, as if her presence rewrites the gravity in the room. I press my palm against the counter, steadying myself as a quiet panic creeps up my spine. I wanted this openness, didn't I? I wanted connection without cages, but now every second feels like proof that I gave away too much of myself trying to look brave. Jonas glances at me, guilt diluted by longing, and it slices deeper than anger ever could. I nod, pretending I'm okay, pretending my voice hasn't cracked in the places even I can't see. And when he opens the door and Elena steps inside, rain clinging to her hair, she looks at me like she can already sense the fracture I'm trying to hide. Elena brushes a wet curl from her cheek, and the simple gesture sends Jonas drifting toward her like his caught in a current. I watch them from across the room, their closeness a kind of gravity I can't escape. She asks if everything's all right, but her eyes flick between us, sharp and knowing. I force a smile that tastes like metal. Jonas says we're fine, his voice too quick, too careful, and Elena's brow tightens just enough to show she recognizes the lie. The three of us stand there, suspended in a triangle of unspoken truths. I wonder when honesty became something I rationed instead of shared. My pulse beats loud in my ears as Elena steps closer, her hand almost reaching mine before she pulls back, maybe realizing I'm a storm she's stepping into without an umbrella. We settle into the living room, but nothing feels settled. Jonas sits beside Elena, their knees brushing, and I pretend not to feel the pinch in my chest. I take the armchair across from them, the distance feeling both safe and humiliating. Elena asks gently if we want to talk about it, her voice carrying the softness of someone who truly wants peace. Jonas shifts, glancing my way, but the words don't come. I realize he's waiting for me to speak first, to frame the narrative, to decide if tonight becomes truth or another careful performance. My throat tightens as I try to find the version of myself that isn't disappearing. I start to talk, but the sound dies halfway, and for a moment, all three of us just breathe through the tension building like heat between glass. I finally find my voice, though it trembles, and I tell them the truth. I feel like I'm fading, like I asked for freedom but lost myself somewhere in the open spaces. Jonas stiffens, guilt washing over him, but he doesn't interrupt. Elena listens with a patience that almost hurts, her eyes soft but steady. I admit that I'm scared. Scared of being replaced, scared of not being enough, scared that maybe I opened this relationship because I thought giving Jonas more would make him stay. The confession hangs in the air, raw and shaking. Jonas reaches toward me, stopping halfway, as if unsure whether he's still allowed to hold me. Elena exhales slowly, and for the first time tonight, I see her walls drop too. The room feels fragile, and I brace myself for what comes next. The morning after feels too bright, like the sun is exposing things we never meant to look at directly. Jonas makes coffee in quiet motions, and every clink of the mug sounds like something breaking between us. Elena stayed over on the couch, insisting she didn't want to leave things unsettled. I watch her wake slowly, hair tangled, eyes soft with worry, and guilt twists in my chest. I'm the one who asked for openness, yet I'm the one who feels undone by it. Jonas glances at me, trying to read whether he's allowed to speak without hurting me. Elena stands and crosses the room, stopping close enough that I can feel her warmth. She whispers if I want space or closeness, and the truth is, I don't even know. My heart pulls in two directions, toward the woman offering gentleness and the man I've loved for years. And somewhere in the middle, I'm still looking for myself. Jonas places a mug beside me, the steam rising like a fragile offering. He apologizes, not for loving Elena, but for letting me feel alone in something we promised to face together. His voice cracks, and for a moment he looks like the man who once traced constellations on my back during sleepless nights. Elena listens quietly, her hands clasped in front of her, as if she's worried she's taking up too much space in a story that wasn't originally hers. I tell Jonas I don't regret choosing polyamory. I regret pretending I was okay when I wasn't. The words feel heavier than I expect. Jonas kneels beside me, not touching, just close. Elena moves to sit opposite us, grounding the moment. I realize they're both waiting, not to defend themselves, but to see if I still want to stay in this with them. We move to the balcony where the air is cool and quiet, carrying only the sound of distant traffic. Elena leans against the railing, watching the city like she's searching for the right words. Jonas sits beside me on a bench but leaves a respectful space between us. I admit I've been jealous, not of their connection but of how easily they seem to understand each other. Elena turns, her eyes steady, and tells me she's been scared too. Scared of hurting me. Scared of ruining something sacred. Jonas nods, looking between us, saying the hardest part is wanting both of us without taking from either. The three of us sit in silence, letting the truth settle. For the first time, I feel like maybe we aren't breaking. Maybe we're just finally being honest enough to grow. Jonas shifts and tells us he needs to say something difficult. His voice is low, almost apologetic. He admits he's been pulling away because he didn't know how to handle the guilt of loving two people so deeply. He didn't want to choose. He didn't want to hurt either of us. Elena listens with her whole body, arms loose, breath slow, eyes soft. I swallow the knot in my throat as he confesses he thought I was stronger than I let on, and he leaned on that assumption too heavily. He reaches toward me, his hand hovering before dropping. Elena steps closer, placing a gentle palm on my shoulder, grounding me. I tell him that loving two people isn't the problem. Disappearing while doing it is. The words surprise even me. Jonas nods, the realization finally sinking in. Elena suggests we try something new, speaking our fears without interruption. The idea scares me, but I nod. Jonas goes first, admitting he fears losing me more than he ever feared loving someone else. His voice shakes, and something inside me softens. Elena shares next, revealing she worries she'll always feel like an outsider, no matter how much space we try to give her. When it's my turn, my breath catches. I admit I don't fear losing them. I fear losing myself again, shrinking until I'm nothing but a supporting role in a love story I helped create. The confession hangs in the warm air between us, vulnerable and unfiltered. Jonas takes my hand gently. Elena takes the other, and for a moment the three of us sit connected. Not as rivals, not as replacements, but as something that might still be worth fighting for. The afternoon settles over us like a warm blanket, but the calm feels temporary, like the quiet before a truth you can't unhear. We gather in the bedroom, not for intimacy, but because it's the only place that feels neutral now. Jonas sits on the edge of the bed, fingers tangled, eyes unfocused as if replaying every mistake he's afraid to say aloud. Elena stands near the window, sunlight turning her auburn hair into a soft halo that makes her look unreal, untouchable. I sit cross-legged on the floor, grounding myself. Jonas finally says he wants to rebuild things slowly, intentionally, without pretending everything is fine. Elena nods, but there's a shadow in her expression, a fear she hasn't named yet. I wonder if we're all carrying different versions of loneliness, waiting for someone else to acknowledge theirs first. The air feels thick with things we're still too scared to speak. Elena turns toward us, her voice trembling as she admits she's been holding back too much, afraid of taking space that wasn't hers. She says she cares deeply for Jonas, but she's starting to care for me too, and she doesn't know what to do with that truth. My breath catches, the words landing heavier than I expect. I've been so focused on disappearing that I never imagined someone might be reaching for me. Jonas watches us with an expression I can't decipher. Part awe, part fear. Elena steps closer, kneeling so we're eye level, and quietly asks if the two of us can build something real, not as a replacement for Jonas, but alongside him. The room feels like it shifts, like gravity chooses a new center. I don't answer yet. I can't. But I don't pull away. Jonas clears his throat and says he needs to be honest about something he's avoided. He admits he's been jealous too. Jealous of how easily Elena connects with people. Jealous of how she reads emotions like second nature. Jealous that she sees parts of me he's neglected. The confession shocks me. I never imagined he felt threatened in any way. Elena reaches for his hand, squeezing gently, grounding him. Jonas looks at me then, eyes heavy with remorse, saying he knows he made me feel invisible. But the truth is, he was terrified of becoming invisible himself. Something in me softens. A crack, letting in a beam of understanding. Maybe none of us are as confident as we pretend to be. Maybe love isn't about certainty. It's about staying even when the ground shifts under all of us. We decide to take a break from speaking and simply sit together. The silence isn't empty. It's a shared breath, a slow exhale of all the things we've held for too long. Jonas shifts closer to me, not touching, just near enough that I feel his warmth. Elena sits on my other side, her presence soft but steady. I think about how strange it is that the three of us ended up here, tangled in something fragile yet undeniable. Elena quietly asks what I need from them moving forward. The question stuns me. No one has asked me that in months. I take a long breath and say I need to feel chosen, not tolerated. I need to feel seen, not managed. Jonas nods instantly, regret flickering across his face. Elena places her hand lightly over mine in silent agreement. Eventually, the conversation drifts toward possibility. What we could become if we move with intention instead of fear. Jonas suggests weekly check-ins, something structured to keep us honest. Elena proposes shared boundaries that protect all three of us, not just the pairings inside the triad. I'm surprised by how much hope begins to rise in me, fragile but real. I admit that I want to keep exploring with both of them, but I need us to slow down, rebuild trust brick by brick. Jonas lets out a shaky breath, relief softening his entire posture. Elena smiles, small but sincere, as if she's been holding that hope for all of us. For the first time in weeks, I don't feel invisible. I feel like someone worth staying for. We move into the kitchen again, the same place where everything cracked open, but now the air feels different. Lighter but still trembling with what might come next. Jonas starts cooking, a habit he falls into when he's trying to show love without words. Elena sits on the counter, legs dangling, her eyes following my every movement as if checking whether I'm truly okay. I lean against the doorway, watching them, realizing how much of my fear came from silence rather than truth. Jonas hands me a spoon to taste the sauce, and when our fingers brush, his expression softens in a way I haven't seen in weeks. Elena leans forward, smiling gently, telling us she wants this to feel like home for all of us, not a battlefield. And for the first time, the kitchen doesn't feel like a confession room. It feels like a place where something new could begin. As the food finishes, Jonas pauses and admits he never realized how much he relied on me to set the emotional temperature in the relationship. He says he took my strength for granted, assuming I could handle anything. The words sting, not because they're cruel, but because they're honest. Elena slides off the counter, stepping closer to me, saying she wants to know me beyond the moments of crisis. My joy, my desires, my needs. Jonas looks between us, something hopeful flickering in his eyes. I feel the walls inside me shifting, slowly unwinding. I tell them I don't want to be the glue holding everything together. I want to be someone who gets held too. Elena squeezes my arm gently. Jonas nods, accepting the weight of what needs to change. We sit at the dining table, plates steaming, though none of us reach for our forks. Elena asks if we can talk about boundaries. Real ones, not the vague guidelines we pretended were enough. Jonas rubs the back of his neck, admitting he avoided setting boundaries because he was scared they'd make everything feel rigid or unfair. I tell them I want boundaries that make us feel safe, not confined. Elena agrees, saying she wants clarity, not permission. Jonas listens, quieter than usual, absorbing every word like he's finally ready to understand instead of defend. I realize that this shared table, this shared effort, is what I wanted all along. Not perfection, but presence. A willingness to stay in the conversation, even when it's uncomfortable. Elena mentions something none of us had dared to voice. The fear that love might not grow evenly between the three of us. The fear of imbalance, of someone feeling left behind. Jonas inhales sharply, as if the words hit somewhere deep. I confess that I've felt that fear every day. Terrified Jonas might drift fully toward Elena, or that Elena might find me too complicated to love. Elena places her hand over mine, saying, love doesn't need to be symmetrical to be real, only tended to. Jonas adds quietly that he wants to love us both without hiding the differences. The honesty feels like a balm and a sting all at once. Maybe love doesn't have to be equal. Maybe it just has to be intentional. After dinner, we drift back into the living room where the light fades slowly into evening blue. Jonas sits beside me on the couch, closer than before, but still leaving just enough space that I don't feel crowded. Elena settles on the floor in front of us, leaning back against my knees with gentle trust. I confess that part of my invisibility came from hiding the parts of me that wanted more from both of them. Jonas tilts his head, surprised, as I admit that I want to explore the tenderness growing between Elena and me, not just the history Jonas and I share. Elena looks up, her eyes softening with something like relief. Jonas takes a slow breath, nodding with deliberate acceptance, saying he wants us all to be brave enough to want fully. For the first time, it feels possible. Night settles around us like a quiet blanket, and for the first time in a long while, I don't feel like I'm bracing for impact. We sit together on the living room floor, a soft circle of shared breath and shifting courage. Jonas leans back against the couch, his shoulders finally relaxed, watching Elena and me with a mixture of wonder and fear. Like he's seeing something unfold he's not sure he deserves to witness. Elena sits beside me, close but not touching, giving me space to choose. She asks how I imagine us moving forward, what shape I want this relationship to take. I admit I don't know yet. I just know I want honesty, softness, and effort. Jonas nods slowly, saying he's ready to give all of that without waiting for disaster to force it. Elena smiles, small and warm, and for a moment the three of us feel less like a broken system and more like a constellation finally aligning. Elena shifts closer, her voice gentle as she tells Jonas and me that she wants to build something with intention, not just emotion. She says being with us feels like standing in a doorway, half inside, half waiting for permission to step in. Jonas reaches for her hand, threading his fingers with hers, and something in his expression softens in a way I haven't seen in a long time. I watch them, expecting jealousy to sting. But instead, there's a strange warmth blooming in my chest. Jonas looks at me next, saying he wants our connection to feel alive again. Not something that gets weighed down by guilt. Elena squeezes my knee lightly, grounding me. I tell them I need us all to move slowly, not out of fear but out of care. They nod in unison, and for the first time, I feel the possibility of a future where none of us has to shrink. We move to the couch, drawn into a softer closeness. Jonas sits beside me, his knee brushing mine, while Elena curls up on my other side, her head resting lightly near my shoulder. The weight of them, two people choosing to be near me instead of watching from a distance, makes my throat tighten. Jonas whispers that he wants to earn back the trust he broke, not with grand gestures but with consistent presence. Elena murmurs that she wants her connection with me to grow naturally, without fear of stepping on sacred ground. I feel myself breathe deeper, as if my ribs finally have room again. I tell them I don't want perfection. I want us to be brave together, even when it's messy. Jonas leans his head back, eyes closed in relief. Elena threads her fingers lightly with mine, a question more than a statement. I don't pull away. Later, as the room dims into deeper blue, Jonas speaks quietly, admitting he's frightened of messing up again. He says he's terrified that no matter how careful he is, one of us will end up hurting anyway. Elena sits forward, telling him that love isn't fragile because people are flawed. Love is fragile because people are scared to speak. Her words linger between us like incense, warm and heavy. I look at Jonas, seeing not the man who made me invisible, but the man who's trying to learn how to see me again. I tell him that mistakes don't break us. Silence does. Elena nods, touching his arm. Jonas exhales, a trembling release, and whispers that he wants to keep choosing us, even when it's hard. And somehow, everything feels a little more possible. As the night deepens, the living room grows quiet, the kind of quiet that invites truth instead of fear. Elena leans into me, her head resting on my shoulder with a tenderness that feels like a new language we're both learning. Jonas drapes an arm behind me on the couch, close but not pressing, giving me the option to lean into him if I choose. And I do. For a moment, the three of us fit together. Not perfectly, not symmetrically, but honestly. I whisper that I'm still scared, but I'm willing. Jonas nods, eyes soft. Elena threads her fingers through mine once more, saying we can build something slow, real, and resilient. The moment settles over us like a warm tide, and I feel it, finally, something shifting, not breaking. Something becoming. Morning light spills into the living room, soft and golden, warming the edges of a night that felt like a quiet turning point. Jonas wakes first, stretching with a slow groan, his hand brushing my arm in a careful, almost reverent way. Elena stirs beside me, her auburn hair a wild halo from sleep, her breath steady and warm against my shoulder. For a moment, everything feels suspended. Three hearts beating in a rhythm we haven't learned yet, but somehow trust anyway. Jonas murmurs that he hasn't slept that peacefully in months, and Elena laughs softly, saying she feels strangely safe here, tangled with us. I admit that waking between them feels like stepping into a version of myself I never allowed before. The moment feels fragile, like the first step onto newly frozen ice. But I don't pull away. Not today. We migrate to the kitchen, still wrapped in the tenderness of waking together. Jonas makes breakfast, humming under his breath, and Elena perches on a bar stool, swaying slightly as she watches him. I sit across from her, absorbing the quiet marvel of how natural it suddenly feels. Elena leans closer and tells me she's been holding back affection because she didn't want to confuse me or overwhelm the fragile balance between us. Jonas looks over his shoulder, listening closely, his expression softening. I tell her she doesn't have to hold back. What scares me more is feeling like I'm the only one reaching, Her smile widens, small but brave. Jonas sets a plate in front of us and says he wants us to build rituals that belong to all three, not just the pairs inside us. Something in my chest loosens. After breakfast, Jonas suggests we each say what we need this week. Something simple, something concrete. The request catches me off guard. Structure has never been our strong suit. Elena goes first, saying she wants intentional time with me. A walk, a coffee, something low pressure. Her voice trembles slightly, but she holds my gaze. Jonas says he needs reassurance not from guilt, but from connection. Something that reminds him we're choosing each other every day. When it's my turn, the words rush out before I can stop them. I need to feel treasured, not tolerated, not just included because I was here first. The room falls quiet. Then Jonas moves closer, gently placing his hand over mine, and Elena rests her palm on my knee. They don't promise perfection. They promise effort. And somehow, that feels bigger. We step outside into the cool afternoon air for a walk around the neighborhood, a simple act that feels strangely intimate with all three of us moving in sync. Elena walks at my side, brushing my hand lightly as if asking permission with every accidental touch. Jonas matches our pace on my other side, shoulders relaxed, eyes scanning the world with a peace I had seen in him since before everything fractured. Elena asks about my childhood, about the parts of me she's never heard, and I tell her stories in small pieces. Jonas listens too, smiling at the bits he already knew, learning the ones he didn't. It feels like both of them are discovering me together, rewriting the parts we'd left blurry. For the first time, I don't feel like I'm being split. I feel like I'm being seen from two angles at once. As evening settles in, we return home, the air filled with that soft fatigue that comes from emotional effort. Jonas heads to the bathroom to shower, leaving Elena and me in the living room, bathed in amber light. She sits beside me, closer than earlier, her fingers tracing hesitant patterns on the couch cushion between us. She whispers that she's scared too, that caring for me feels new and enormous, something she doesn't want to mishandle. I tell her I feel the same, that this tenderness between us is fragile but real. She reaches for my hand, slow and gentle, and this time I meet her halfway. Jonas returns, hair damp, watching us with a quiet understanding rather than fear. He sits beside me, leaning in with soft certainty. And in that moment, I realize we're no longer falling apart. We're stepping into something brave. Night settles in heavy and slow, the last chapter of a day that felt like rebuilding a house from the inside out. The three of us sit on the balcony, the city humming below like a distant heartbeat. Elena leans against the railing, her auburn hair catching the faint streetlight while Jonas sits close beside me, elbows on his knees, breathing steady. I realize how different this moment feels. No one is performing. No one is shrinking. Jonas says softly that he's ready to keep learning how to love me without fear. And Elena adds that she wants to love boldly, even if the path isn't straight. I look at them, two people who have seen me break and stayed anyway. And for the first time, I feel something like acceptance rising in me. Not of them, but of myself. Maybe this isn't the ending of who I was. Maybe it's the beginning of someone I never let myself become. We move back inside, drawn by the warm hush of the living room. Jonas stands by the window, staring at the reflections of the three of us, pooled together in the glass. He whispers that he's scared of repeating old patterns, scared of letting guilt turn into distance again. I step beside him, telling him that fear doesn't make him weak, it makes him human. And wanting to stay makes him brave. Elena joins us, placing one hand on each of our backs, grounding the moment in quiet solidarity. She says relationships don't fail because people love more than one person. They fail because people stop being honest. We all nod, absorbing the truth. In the reflection, we look like a trio learning how to stand without stepping on each other's shadows. And somehow, that feels like growth. Jonas suggests we sit together, really sit, and talk about what comes next. We gather on the living room floor, knees nearly touching. the air thick with possibility. Elena speaks first, saying she wants to build trust with me slowly, intentionally, without skipping steps or assuming closeness before it's earned. Jonas nods, saying he wants our relationship to feel like partnership again, not survival mode. When it's my turn, my voice wavers as I tell them, I want to be loved in the light, not just in the aftermath of conflict. I want presence, effort, and tenderness. The room goes still. Then Elena reaches for my hand. Jonas does too. And in that moment, I feel something shift. Not dramatic, not cinematic, but deeply real. We're choosing each other even with the fear. Especially with the fear. Later, the three of us sink into the couch. Bodies tired, but hearts a little more open. Elena lies curled with her head in my lap, tracing slow circles against my knee. Jonas sits on my other side, his hand resting lightly on my shoulder, a gesture of connection rather than possession. I close my eyes and let myself feel all of it. The weight, the warmth, the choice. I confess that for weeks, I felt like a ghost in my own relationship, watching life move through everyone but me. Jonas' breath hitches and Elena's fingers pause. I add that now, sitting here with them, I feel like I've stepped back into my own body. Not because they saved me, but because I finally let myself be seen. Their hands tighten around me at the same time, and I breathe deeper. The night winds down, leaving only the soft hum of the city and the quiet rhythm of three hearts learning to beat beside each other without rushing. Jonas stands and holds out his hand to both of us, not to lead, but to invite. Elena rises first, then me, and suddenly we're standing there, the three of us, in a small triangle of lamplight. I look at them. Jonas with his steady eyes, Elena with her gentle bravery. And I feel the truth settle in my bones. I am no longer invisible. Not to them, not to myself. Jonas whispers that this fragile, imperfect, intentional love is something he wants to build every day. Elena nods, eyes shining, saying she wants to choose each of us, again and again. I breathe in, letting the moment anchor me. Maybe love doesn't need symmetry. Maybe it just needs courage. And tonight, we finally have enough.